When I was still a student at Susquehanna, a good 5 years ago, I was looking forward to my senior year of college. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but at that point, not knowing was exhilarating. I embraced the possibilities with Larry by my side. Then, as we all know, around the end of 2019, the unexpected happened. COVID. The pandemic drastically altered people's ideas of what their future would look like. College kids like myself at that time were even more in a spiral. I still remember being at my soon-to-be mother-in-law's house and looking at the TV. The news was showing what looked apocalyptic. There was a map of the United States that showed the spread of the pandemic all the way across. The map itself lit up like a Christmas tree. It felt like impending doom would hit the world, and this was the end of life as we know it. And to be fair, I was kind of right, the end of what we knew it to be. While I've had anxiety in the past, this is the marker in my brain of when my panic and anxiety hit an all-time high. My brain went into survival mode, as many people's did. I was obviously concerned about all people, but mostly about my older grandparents and family members with health problems. And then one day, my dad called me up. He said, "Hey, Grace, I've sent this book to you. I've been doing some yoga to try to clear my brain. And I found this book I think you'll like too. We have a similar brain, you know." My response was, "Oh yes, I unfortunately know that. What's the book called?" He answered, "It's called 10% Happier, Meditation for Fidgety Skeptics by Dan Harris." Dan Harris is a guy who had a panic attack on national news and wrote this book to try to find himself again. Intrigued, I read it. I mean, I'm a fidgety skeptic when it comes to meditation, so it seemed like a logical fit. Within this book, at the end of each chapter, there were a handful of exercises. Some were basic, sit on the floor meditations. Others for people who tend to fidget around in their seats. And some were just attempts to shift our mental perspective actively. While I read the first few chapters, I will admit I stayed skeptical. I had always found that actively moving my body, going to the gym, kicking around a soccer ball, or boxing had helped me with my anxiety or anger. Sitting still felt like I had lost control. It felt counterproductive. In my viewpoint, if I wasn't actively doing something, at almost all times, it left me feeling anxious and stressed out. And during this point, at the height of COVID and stress, and choosing to still run around, I have to admit, I didn't feel grateful or thankful for pretty much anything. I was angry, I was tired, I felt like my future was pried out of my hands as I sat there waiting for change. There's this old saying that I think we can also apply to our mental status on any given day. It's attributed to Einstein, but the direct author is unknown. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And when I think about it, maybe at that time, I was, by this definition, insane. My mental perspective's inner thoughts went something like this, and I'm sure a lot of you can understand this. Don't panic, keep moving. Go for a run, take a nap. It's better than being awake. Keep moving, Grace. It'll be what helps us. It'll be what gets me where I need to be. Ignore everything else. Yeah, I'll be the first to admit that's not healthy, but I think we can all reflect on the times in our lives where we felt that keeping moving was the most beneficial, and sometimes it is. But not if we don't take a minute to look around us. Look at all of the wonderful and joyous things that God has created. Look at all of the things there are to rejoice. In our reading of Joel today, we can interpret that there is so much fear and anxiety that these people have in Zion. And interestingly, we see not just reassurance to the people, but to the land, the wild animals, the pastures, the trees. All of God's creation is accounted for. But the response to all of the anxiety and the fear of people of Zion is, "Don't be afraid, land of Judah, be glad and rejoice. Surely the Lord has done great things. Do not be afraid, you wild animals, for the pastures in the wilderness are becoming green. The trees are bearing their fruit. The fig tree and the vine yield their riches. Be glad, people of Zion. Rejoice in the Lord your God, for he has given you the autumn rains because he is faithful. He sends you abundant showers, both autumn and spring rains as before. The threshing floors will be filled with grain, and the vats will overflow with new wine and oil." There's a strong urge to stop worrying about what will come and to be glad and rejoice that God will provide for us and to be thankful for all that he has already done for us. We must not worry about the things that have not yet happened and instead focus on the present surroundings and joys that we can celebrate right now. Yes, it's easier said than done, and trust me, I know this. But I challenge us to really consider the reassurance from God that we will be taken care of and accounted for. I mean, at the very least, we have that to be thankful for, that God has us. I think we can also be thankful for things like this church community, right here, all of us supporting one another. Maybe a warm, home-cooked meal or a shared smile as we enter or leave this place. Waking up and being present for another day. The unconditional love of God. Well, in our confirmation class, I have the honor of hearing what our confirmands and even their parents are thankful for. At the opening of each class, we have a starting ritual where we light a candle in front of the class, place it in the sand as a physical symbol of our presence. Then we share one of 3 things about our life. Something we are thankful for, something that we may need help with, and something that just wows us. And let me tell you, for most of the thanks that are shared, I wouldn't be able to guess the variety of things our families are thankful for. It's outstanding. When we first started this ritual, I just assumed some would be thankful for maybe a great breakfast or spending time with their friends. But these young adults continue to surprise me in good ways and remind me of all the things to be thankful for. Their thanks will span from sports wins to sleepovers to good times with family and absolutely everything in between. It honestly forced me to reevaluate my time and the things that I'm thankful for. I've started doing more things during my off time that I truly enjoy, rather than complaining about the things that are on my nerves, or just notice the little wins in life that we can celebrate. Like, yay, my dog didn't pull on my walk. I'm so thankful. I finally got to talk to my brothers on the phone. It's been so long. I got to sit on the couch and slowly enjoy my morning coffee. What a blessing. When we live our life in fast forward, we tend to also skip over the things that we normally wouldn't if we just take our time. If we do our best to hit, or at least pump, the brakes, we can soak in what parts of life are really worth living. Maybe we can fully enjoy the Thanksgiving holiday without fast-forwarding to who does the dishes, I need to sweep, or gotta get home before dark. We could listen instead to Uncle Jim's war stories for the 18th time, grateful that he just made it to this year's Thanksgiving. Or offer to help with the dishes to catch up with your aunt, who you haven't been able to see in over a year. There are gems sprinkled in the chaos that we can either ignore or admire the sparkle of. The gems are what fill our cups as we continue on in our day-to-day life. There's a song that has been on my mind for quite some time as I thought ahead to the Thanksgiving season. It's by an artist named Joy Olukden, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, who I found with a dear friend of mine. We tend to hear it on our playlists and check in with one another simply because it reminds us of each other. Joy's music is technically classified as pop, but it has more of a Tracy Chapman soulful feel to it. I can hear the emotions in her voice, the struggles and the triumphs. The song from her that I'm specifically speaking about is called You at the Table. While it is not meant to reflect the holiday of Thanksgiving, it speaks to some of the emotions that surface during holidays without loved ones or in the struggles of relationships and addiction. Her lyrics are as follows. Whatever it takes, I am willing and able, 'cause home just ain't the same without a roof over our heads and you at the table. These words remind me that home is where our family is, chosen or biological, and we must be grateful for those who are at the table, who stay when times are hard and love unconditionally. So as we look to our table in our homes or in our local communities, let us do our best to be thankful. Even when Aunt Sally won't stop talking about politics, or Uncle Stan brings up the weather for the 5th time, let us rejoice. Let us rejoice in the fact that we have promises of God for the seasons He has given, the friends and family and neighbors we are blessed with, and even just a seat at the table. Amen.